1. You are live, you are live.
What an incredibly massive elephant bull. We're going to try get a better view of him shortly, but we're right on top of a little river system here, and that is one of the biggest bulls I've seen at Djuma, not both body size, and he's also got a nice set of teeth. Hi, my name is Brent. I've got Brian and the Thumb on camera with me today, and we're going to have an amazing sunset safari. Oh, excuse me. I nearly swallowed a fly there. Let's go see if we can get a closer look at that Eddie. He is right down in here. I'm going to see if we can get a view as we come through. He is massive. Hello, big boy. Look at that. He is incredibly big. He's busy feeding off a buffalo thorn. Now that is a bull in his prime. Hello, big boy. I really love big elephant bulls. And he almost looks like he's listening to us. Let's see if we can sneak down the river system towards him. Okay, what a wonderful way to start the Monday sunset safari. And as of course everyone knows, we had quite the weekend of TV shows on Nat Geo Wild. But we're back doing what we do every day. Isn't that amazing? That every single day we are producing live game drives from the middle of the African bush to you wherever you might be. Now, I wonder if he's in must. He is in must. I can actually smell it. He's secreting from his glands on the side of his head, and there's that sweet smell. Now, probably one of the strangest descriptions of the smell of must I've ever heard is from VM, one of our cameramen. And in South Africa, we have a concentrated sort of a juice that you drink called Oros. And VM says it smells like off Oros. I don't know how he came up with it, and I've never actually personally smelt off Oros. I thought there was so many chemicals in it, it would never go off, but apparently it can. Hey, big boy. Now, his head alone probably weighs half a ton. And he probably weighs about 6 in total. Standing about 3 meters, 3.5 meters at the shoulder. Now we're looking at an elephant, and obviously they leave quite a lot of droppings as they move through the bush. Kyle says he just can't believe Steph actually drank the juice from the elephant dung yesterday. Well, Kyle, you're not the only one. His wife wasn't too impressed by it. But if you had to survive, it would be a very good source of water. Now, you can live without food for over a week, but you won't last long without water, probably less than 2 days, especially out here. Now, we're in the middle of winter, and it's 31 degrees Celsius, 88 Fahrenheit. And it is very still. I mean, there's not a breath of wind. There's not a cloud in the sky. It is just one of the reasons I love living in the Lowveld, where you have warm winters. Now, James is in search of Karula at the moment. She was seen this morning with both her cubs. And we were on our way to go look for elephants, in fact, so we've succeeded in that. And going to leave this big boy to his musings in the river system. I'm a bit worried if we go any further forward, we'll disappear. We are right at the base of this little river, and it looks like he's going to go deeper into it. So we're going to continue our mission towards the Buffelshoek waterhole. And if any of you guys are new and you've joined since the TV shows yesterday, remember you can ask us questions, and you can do that by using the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter, or you can send us an email to questions@wildearth.tv. Now, we had some absolutely spectacular leopard behavior on Saturday. Saturday is Catterday, of course. Now, we saw young Sindile and his mom, and the first visual ever of Shadow's little cub, who's just over 3 months old now, and it's a little female, and she is absolutely gorgeous. I think I nearly burst with excitement. It was so wonderful. And of course, good old Mvula has been making some returns, popping up here and there, chasing hyenas and being chased by hyenas in turn. Now, I'm sure you all realize why we weren't on safari this morning. We had a little party last night, and we stayed up well beyond our normal bedtimes. Well, some of us at least. Brian and I were there to the very end. The killer bees. Now, I've decided I really want to get some new birds for the bird lists, and there's a couple I'm still looking for. Hi, Jennifer. Jennifer is spot on. Jennifer says Shadow's cub is such a little charmer. I couldn't agree more. I think my heart melted. I think I quite like that little cub. And shh, I like it more than Carilla's cubs, but we won't say that too loudly. Beautiful little female. Very exciting to have the amount of cubs we do at the moment. And of course, we're pretty sure a third Inkahuma has dropped as well. And that's one of the reasons I'm heading up towards the area around Buffelshoek. I'm hoping that this time they've denned on Juma. Also, those other little cubs are probably getting close to 2 months old now, so we might start seeing them moving about with the ladies. Of course, the last lion cubs we saw on Safari Live had a very tragic end. They were killed by the Birmingham boys as they came in to take over this area from the Matimba males. Now, the Birminghams are well set and procreating with all the lionesses. So they've got cubs with the sticks and with the Nkuhumas. Now, there is always a possibility that some of those cubs might not be theirs, and they've been mated with an interloper, a single male, sort of cruises the peripheries. But I think in this case, I haven't heard of any interlopers being seen, so it's a strong possibility that they all do belong to the Birminghams. Now, very interesting thing, it's never been proved in leopards, but in lions, a lioness can have 3 cubs, and they can all be fathered by different males. So of course, 3 eggs, and it's possible for them to be impregnated by multiple males, so very interesting. That's very interesting. Thank you very much, Jane. Jane says apparently the Styx Pride was seen on Cheetah Plains this morning with their cubs. Well, I will definitely get hold of the Cheetah Plains guys as soon as they're out. And if that is the case and they're still around, I want either James or myself will bomb down there for a quick visit. Hi, Pam. Thank you very much. Pam says, what a splendid Father's Day show that we did yesterday. I agree, Pam. And she said, my dad also sounded very proud of me on Twitter. Well, I'm very proud of him as well. And a lot of my love for the bush stems from a lot of early experiences and early memories with my dad in the bush. He is a true lover of the outdoors and the wildlife. And he goes on game block every day, twice a day when he's at home. Isn't that incredible? Oh, I'm being bitten by something. Sorry. Oh. Oh, naughty ant. And now I can actually say I've got ants in my pants, literally. Well, I try to deal with the ants in my pants. Let's go see Commander Bond, who's steering Rusty this evening.
Good afternoon, everybody, and whoa. David, don't move. Don't move an inch, David. You're in mortal I said don't move, David. You're in mortal danger. There was a locust. David is okay, everybody. My name's James, obviously, and David is on camera. Yes, and you could see how shaky his thumb was there. Rain locust landed on the lens, threatened to eat David's face off. Anyway, it didn't. Now, we have come into this area to try and find Karula, the 12-year-old female queen of Juma, and her little cubbies. They are now 4 and a bit months old. It is the winter solstice, which therefore seems logical that it should be 88 degrees Fahrenheit out here, 31 degrees centigrade. This is the best midwinter I have ever coped with. And we are as live as Brent Leo Smith, believe it or not. I'm not sure why he has ants in his pants. That sounds very, very unpleasant indeed. But we are as live, so please do send through your questions, comments, hashtag SafariLive. You can even email us these days because we're back on the internet. Questions at wildearth.tv, and we shall endeavour to answer any queries you might have or consider any comments you might want to make. Thank you once again to all of you for your patience over the course of our TV broadcasts. I know for many of you during the rehearsals and the lead-ups, it must have been a little bit irksome sometimes because we didn't have a regular broadcasting schedule, but we're back to normal now. Not sure when the next TV will be. Possibly, well, I don't know when it'll be at all. So you're most welcome. Let's go and see what we can find. I did have a brief walk through this block. Apparently the cubs were seen around here this morning with I don't know that Mum was seen actually. So we're just going to drive very slowly through here, see if we can't spot some tracks. Like I say, it's quite hot today, so we're going to go down towards the water, Treehouse Dam, and see if they haven't perhaps decided that they're a bit thirsty. And there's a little bit of water there as dug up by the elephants, and it's because there's an underground spring there that the elephants, quite astoundingly, are able to feel with their thick padded feet, which I think is amazing. David, are you all right after the shock of that rain locust?
I'll be all right, James.
Well done. Donna, you, I'm sure, like most of us, were enthralled by the sight of Sindile over the course of the weekend. Now almost 2 years old, grandson of the great Queen. And you were saying that you were noticing from many of the close-ups we got of him while he slept yesterday. He did a lot of sleeping yesterday while he was live. And you say you noticed he had black and white whiskers, and have we ever found a whisker? I don't think I've ever found a whisker, Donna. I'm not I hate to say this, but I'm not sure that if I found one, I'd recognize it for what it was, if you know what I mean. But I didn't notice that about him, I must say. But what I did notice about Sindile is that he's got a pink nose with a very grey tip to the top of it. And whether that was from rehab or whether that's just something he's developed as he got a bit older, I don't know. But I think it's quite a nice identifier. And while one really, really, really doesn't want to ascribe the looks of young leopards to their... I'm really struggling to hear Louise. There we go. Fix it up. Yeah, I can hear you now. Sorry. One shouldn't try and ascribe looks to a particular animal based on her parents or his parents. But I have to say that I think that Sindile's eyes are rather Anderson looking. I don't know what any of you think. And certainly Shadow was seen mating with Tingana and Shadow, at least, and Mvula and Anderson before Sindile was born. We just assumed that he was going to be Tingana's son, but I'm not sure about that. Anyway, time will tell. Now, a nice question about when cubs are able to fend for themselves, but from whom that question came, I did not hear. Minxie. That's no wonder I didn't hear it. It's a very unfamiliar name. Wonderful to hear from you, Minxie. I think you're a new viewer. Great stuff. And thank you for talking to us. Young leopards, well, you can see Sindile is not yet 2 years old, and he's had to become independent. He won't be killing... Apparently, he did kill a female impala. That's about the biggest he's killed so far, I think. But he's perfectly able to cope with life on his own. The earliest recorded one we have from this area is a female cub going independent at 8 months. Now, that is extremely unusually early. An 8-month-old leopard is nowhere near fully grown. It's about twice the size of the little cubbies we've got now. So that would be the size of a sort of golden retriever, if you like. But you see, because leopards have what we call a very Catholic diet, so they are very, that doesn't mean they eat fish on Fridays. What it means is that they're very prepared to eat just about anything, from termites, you know, to small birds, to fish, to frogs, and up to giraffe in some cases. You know, we know the Anderson male has killed a young giraffe before. And because of that, they can become independent probably a lot before many of the other cats can. And so Sindile is, yeah, I mean, he's perfectly able to be independent. And just like with our own species, the men are more reticent about, or the males are more reticent about leaving home than the females are. They like the comfort of their mummies for a bit longer than the daughters do. Right, we've arrived at the great expanse of water that is Treehouse mining operation. We'll just ease our way down here. I didn't see any of our tracks coming across, but there were 1 or 2 difficult spots there where I may have missed them. So let's have a look-see. We'll go up onto this vast wall and peer up the drainage. Now, I'm obviously being entirely sarcastic when I talk about the amount of water that there is here, and that's because, or the reason that it's been dug up like this is because there is a school of thought that says that we're going to have big floods this year. This to me is like trying to predict roulette, but be that as it may, the land managers of the area have decided to fortify these dams and just make sure that if there is a big deluge come the rainy season, that the dams aren't, you know, that they don't disappear. You can see a lot of elephant dung there, and that's because the elephants do dig down to the water surface here. There is water underground here. They don't like that muddy water that's in buffalo dung infested and hippo dung infested water that there is around, say, the Djuma Pan. They do like clean water, and so when they can get it underground during the dry season, that is precisely what they'll do. I'm just staring with these powerful binoculars up the drainage to see if I can't see some spots lurking in the shade, but I cannot. Hello, little Gracie, aged 8, all the way from Ohio. Lovely to hear from you again. We haven't been hearing enough of you, Gracie. And you say that you haven't been on TV yet, but you think you're very proud of James and Brent. That's me, of course, and Brent. And you think that maybe we should get an award for the TV performance that we put on. I think that's very kind, Gracie, and I think that you should write to everybody in the United States and petition for exactly that large award, and then we'll come and visit you. Okay, let's continue. I didn't see any dappled spots. In fact, I haven't even seen a heartbeat. So let's head across to Brent, who had an elephant, and see what he's found.
I haven't got any updates from the other game drive vehicles. It looks like there's just James and I out at the moment. So we're going to throw a bit of caution to the wind and head down to Cheetah Plains for that chance of lion cubs. And I know James is just answering, but thank you very much, Gracie. Gracie, they said a wonderful comment to us. I hope we win an award too, Gracie. But thank you very much. So we're on a cheetah cut line, sorry, which is our eastern boundary, and always a good place to check for the comings and goings of big cats. We did take a swing past the Buffelshoek waterhole. Unfortunately, nothing there at the moment. But it is truly a magnificent day. And not a cloud in the sky. It is just truly, truly crystal clear out here almost. And it's the first day in a while we've had no wind. We've had quite a windy couple of days, which is unusual for this time of the year. This is more like what the middle of winter is supposed to be like. Of course, we are going through a massive drought at the moment. So some of the animals are struggling a bit, but in terms of game viewing, droughts are actually really good. There's, as you can see, no grass for them to hide in. So it also means we might find some of the more fascinating things. I'm really, really, really excited that we might see things like caracal and aardvark. I know Brian's very keen for aardvark. Yes. And we have seen one pangolin. I could definitely do another pangolin. One sec, sorry, I was going to be on the game drive for a second. Let me just... Ali. Oh, I might be a bit too far to use the Cheetah Plains radio just yet, so we'll try again when we get a bit closer. A huge Safari Live welcome to Alex, who's a new viewer. Welcome to the family, Alex. Alex would like to know, how much do leopards eat? Well, if you average it out per day, it's about 2.2 kilograms. Of course, they don't eat every day. They normally eat over every 2 or 3 days. So on average, it's about 2.2 kgs for a female and just over 3 kgs for a male. But they can glut. And they can literally eat probably around 10 or 12 kilograms in a single sitting. They also have a very fast digestive process, and that enables them to start feeding again quite soon. Well, it is still quite warm, which means a lot of the other animals are not going to be moving around too much just yet. Oh, hello, you two. Don't move, don't move, don't move, don't move, don't move. One gone. Let me just try forward a bit. Now, notoriously good at disappearing, these little guys. These ones are being quite nice so far. It's a pair of Steenbok. And so they're not babies. It's an adult pair, and one of the few monogamous antelopes we have out here. They live in tiny little territories of about 2 acres, and they mate for life. Not to say they're not a bit naughty, because if there's another female around the edge or another male, they will also mate with them, but they do stay together for the entire lives. Also, one of the only animals that's not too stressed about the drought. They are completely not dependent on water. If there is water available, they will drink, but they get most of their moisture from dew in the early mornings, and they dig up tubers and things to get water as well. So while we start heading towards Cheetah Plains, let's go see what Mr. Hendry is up to on the other vehicle.
No, everybody, I haven't found you a leopard, I'm afraid, but I can hear some birds' alarm calling off over there. I don't think there's a leopard there, but in this bush is a rather spectacular example of a tropical tent web spider. Now you can see the web glistening in this late afternoon sun, and just in the middle of the web you can probably see the spider. There are a few leaves sort of dangled right in the middle, and then underneath that the cryptically coloured brown figure of Mrs. Tropical Tent Web Spider. You got it there, Dave?
Got it.
Right. Now, what is interesting here is that obviously this looks like the net of a trapeze, sort of in a circus. And so it's not an orb web, it's not sort of a horizontal or vertical, I mean, to the vertical to the plane that an insect might be flying. It's horizontal, and what it does is you can see underneath, I don't know if you can see my hand here, Dave.
Yep.
Underneath here, you can see a whole lot of what we call knockdown threads. And so this will catch animals that fly through here. It'll catch animals that hop up from underneath, like grasshoppers. And then further up to the top, there are a whole lot more knockdown threads. And what will happen is an insect will fly into these, be knocked down into the trapeze net, and then they will be devoured by that tropical tent web spider. But the intricacy of the web, to me, is absolutely astounding. I think that's fantastic. And there are a few other different kinds of creatures living on this thing. I think that's the female that you've got there, and I spotted a male that has now folded itself up. Dave, I'm going to point with my finger.
Cool.
That there, underneath my finger, there's a little brown dot. See, can you see it, Dave?
Yeah, we got him.
That's the male. That's the male spider. Obviously a lot smaller than the female. So should he fail to satisfy her, he will be devoured. Now, I don't know if the other thing you can see here, if you watch, I'm just going to bump the web slightly. If you watch the female, watch when I touch the web. Oh, now she's not doing it. There. If you disturb the web, what she does is she starts to shake up and down. And that's not just the movement of the branches. That is, it makes her look like a kind of dry leaf that's blowing in the wind. So a predator that might want to eat her will be confused and think that she isn't actually a spider. So that is the story of the tropical tent web spider. Now we're going to continue along the road here. We've come away from the water, and we're going to see if we can't find some tracks of her maybe heading towards her favourite tree. Well, one of her favourite trees is a lovely milkberry tree up there that she sometimes likes to sit in. And by she, of course, I do mean the Queen. Probably should be referring to her as Her Majesty. And thank you to all of you who are agreeing with Gracie so profoundly that we should get awards. Great benefit. Red carpets, limousines, and whatever else comes with such things. Hello, Valeria in Massachusetts. You ask a question. You say, have the little leopard cubs got names yet? Well, Valeria, no, not official ones. And that works where the rangers of the area, so that in this case will be Taxon and Aubrey, who are the guides here at Vuyatela and Galago on Djuma. They will name those two leopards, or they will put forward the Djuma suggestion. We don't have a huge amount to do with it. For the moment, however, I've called them George and Charlotte, after the Queen's great-grandchildren. That's the British Queen's great-grandchildren. Just simply because one's male and one's female, and I think it suits them quite nicely. I've no doubt were the other guides of this area to find out that I'd started calling George and Charlotte, I'd probably have, well, some fairly stern messages coming my way. I just think that they're quite sweet names, but they're certainly not official by any stretch of the imagination. We normally will only name them after a year or so, because so many of these cubs, of course, do die. They don't make it. Probably only about 2 in 10 males and about 3 in 10 females. 3 or 4 in 10 females make it to independence. If that. Just very, very difficult lives they lead. David, have you spotted a mammal yet today?
Not yet, Joe.
No, I haven't either. I'm beginning to think that all of our luck was used up by Brent Leo Smith on the first TV show we did. And I don't know if you caught the TV show, but we had a wonderful time with some new technology with the rover, Ronald the rover, who spent a good time at the waterhole interacting with the buffalo. We used the dam cam quite a lot, and I had control of it with a joystick. And then we had that magnificent microscope, which was just too much fun. Just a brilliant, brilliant addition to what we do here. Now, this milkberry tree that Karula likes to lurk in is around here. I don't see any tracks though. I wonder if she's not still in this block somewhere. I mean, you could spend 7 days walking through there and not see her. So we'll just have a quick look-see here. There's the tree. I'm going to take out my powerful binoculars and see if we can see. Now, Cindy, you say that the animals put on such a good show, Davey. It's that big kind of tree on the termite mound in the block there. Cindy, you say the animals put on such a good show this weekend that they're probably taking the day off and they deserve it. I would agree completely, especially young Cindile, who did a superb job, as did Shadow and her new cub. Not sure what we're going to call that one. I should definitely pick a name before she gets her real name. Brent Leo Smith, of course, gets slightly irked by my naming of these things, so I think I'm going to pick one very soon. And just go forward. I can't see anything draped in the boughs of that tree. Just go a little bit further forward. I might get another view from here. Yeah, there we go. Let's have a look now. So that's a low-felled milkberry, Manalcara mochisa, so named for the milky latex that comes out of the, well, a little bit out of the sap, but mostly out of the fruit. Very delicious fruit, if you can get it. But I don't see no leopards draped there or lying in the shade of the termite mound underneath. Hello, John. You're a new viewer, which is marvellous. It's great to have you with us. I don't see anything on that tree, I'm afraid, so we're going to continue along here. I'm not sure really how to answer your question, to be honest, but it is wonderful to have you with us. So if I don't give you the answer you're looking for, feel free to send through another one. Hashtag SafariLIVE, questions@wildearth.tv. You want to know, how do leopards eat? Well, they hunt, John. That's the main thing that they do. And they are sort of ambush predators. So this is where they were this morning, on that termite mound. John, I will get back to you. Give me just a sec. Yeah. You see how that milkberry tree is not a bad option, except that her tracks don't seem to have crossed the road. Anyway, we'll just carry on gently along here. See if we can't spot anything. So, John, they're ambush predators. They'll eat just about anything that they can. Like I said, they'll eat anything from termites to giraffe, but normally sort of small to medium-sized antelope, which is an utterly meaningless statement if you have never seen large or tiny antelope. But we're looking at duiker, which is sort of about 40 pounds worth, steenbok about 30 pounds worth, and impala, which are about, what, big male impala, about 160 pounds worth. And they are killed normally with a throat grip. So the leopard will leap on them, grab them by the throat so they can't make too much noise, and then suffocate them. Smaller prey, they'll grab behind the back of the neck and they break the spinal column with a big swift bite with those massive canines that they have. And that's how they kill. And then they eat. Well, I mean, they just sort of eat, really. I hope that answers your question, John. If it doesn't, please feel free to chastise me severely over Twitter, and I'll do my best to rectify the situation. Beautiful tree up here called a brown ivory, and it's starting to lose its leaves again. See that, Davey? They're going yellow. Let's stop and have a little listen here. Sometimes birds will alarm call, often birds will alarm call if they see a leopard. Birds like that one there, actually, the fork-tailed drongo, an insect-eating bird. And he's just enjoying the shade here. He's also completely silent, which means that he cannot see a leopard. There he goes. It's all very peaceful out here, I must say. It's a rather, well, it's quite hot. It's not unpleasantly hot, and it's very peaceful. Good time to be out, but I think you'll find that most of the animals are lurking in the deep shade somewhere. This is a good place for them to be. I did notice, I was just saying to David as we came out here, that I think in the last 3 or 4 days, actually, the leaves have really started to change colour. And the dominant tree, of course, out here is something called a red bush willow, or combretum. That's one of the... Well, naturally, I can't find one now. Very similar to this species here. Not quite the same, but very similar. And they maintain their greenery for quite a long time, compared with most of the deciduous trees. And they've all turned yellow now. So they're going to drop all of their leaves very soon. Hello, Michael, age 13, a budding young naturalist. It's great to have you with us, and thank you for sending your question through. You say you were wondering about the different hunting techniques between lions and leopards and cheetahs, but mostly lions and leopards. Well, lions, of course, are social. They're the only social cats, which means that they're able to hunt in like a team. And so if you've got a pride of, say, 5 lionesses, like the Nkuhuma pride, who spends most of their time on Djuma here, they do hunt their ambush predators, which means they'll get as close to their prey as they can before a short run and then jumping on their prey. Sometimes for lions they run a bit longer than the leopards do, but they can't run for a great distance. Their trick is to get as close as possible, as quietly as possible, and then have one explosive run out at the prey and then grab it. So lions and leopards similar in that way. Lions, of course, hunting as a team, so sometimes they'll lie in ambush where three of them will go off to one side and 2 others will go to the other side, and they'll chase the prey into the other waiting members of the pride. And so that's quite an effective team way of catching their prey. But others, at least something like a cheetah, is not an ambush predator. It'll get relatively close, but then it needs open space and it will run. It's what we call a coursing predator. So you get an ambush predator and a coursing predator. And to course means to run after something. And basically that's what a cheetah does. It just courses after whatever it wants to eat. And they will run much more than they will than will leopards or lions. Thank you for that, Michael. I hope that we're able to show you a lion, a leopard or a cheetah sometime during the course of the afternoon. Brent has gone off to Cheetah Plains, and maybe with any luck he'll find you some cheetah there, which would be marvellous. I'm going to ease my way along this road, just make sure that the Queen has not crossed south out of our reserve. And of course this road is our southern boundary, and what that means is that we can't go to the right hand side of your screen, but you can see that there's nothing stopping the animals coming and going as they please. Right, speaking of Brent, let's go across to him and find out what's going on at Cheetah Plains.
Oh, elephants at 3 in a row pound. We've just arrived on Cheetah Plains. Unfortunately, the sticks and cubs went north into Torchwood. I've had a chat to Andrew and he's going to let me know if they start coming south. But there's a big Ellie bull by the looks of things. And we started off with a magnificent individual, and I'm quite excited to see another. Remember, you can ask us questions if you would like, and I'm sure some of you have. If you're new and you're not sure how to, email address is questions@wildearth.tv, or you can use the hashtag SafariLIVE on Twitter. Oh, he's on a mission, but he is a beautiful big boy. I don't think quite as big as the last one. What do you think, Brian?
Not as big.
Not as big as his. Oh, he is big though. Nice set of ivory. I reckon, do you hear that, Brian? Calling. Of course it keeps. There we go. Doo-doo, doo-doo. Sounds very close to us as well. Let me just reverse here. I think I can hear a ground hornbill, but really, really close to us. Yes, there it is. That I just spotted it through the bush. Well, I'm going to wait for that big Ellie to come through, and then we'll try to get a nice closer look of him. But while he's moving through the bush and we've got that hornbill looked like it was walking through there. Now, it's one of the more endangered species of bird we get out here. Oh, it looks like he's scurried off. So I'm look a little bit further. Nope, it's made a disappearing act. But we do see them quite frequently down here at Cheetah Plains, so it's always very nice. So I've just heard Andrew has found the sticks and the cubs, and they're probably about 150 meters away out of our traverse zone. So fingers crossed when it gets cooler that they might come for a little visit. Where's that big boy gone? Now, a huge SafariLIVE welcome to John, who's another new viewer joining us, and great to have you on board, John. Now, John would like to know how much a big Ellie bull like that will actually eat. Sure, he did a quick disappear. That was very fast moving. Oh, there he is. Okay, we're going to jump round ahead of him. John, a big bull like that can eat about 250 kilograms of vegetable matter in a day. That is absolutely incredible. I'm trying to do the 2.2, isn't it, Brian? Yeah. So 600 pounds, more or less, that an elephant bull will eat in a day. And he'll drink about 100 liters of water, which is, I think, 20 gallons, if I remember correctly. Okay, he should be popping up on this other road here. spotted, Brian. He should be coming out around here somewhere. Is that him there? Now, it's amazing, an animal that size can disappear so quickly. There he is. See, sometimes when we're on cheetah plains, we get some ellies that aren't that relaxed because they're coming out of the Kruger. And the Kruger area here is a wilderness area. There's no roads. It's not accessible to tourists. Hello, big boy. I think he might be one of these ellies that's coming from there. He's not looking too bad, but let's just have a quick look at him. Yeah, he's not too relaxed. He's trying to move away from us, so we're not going to go any closer. You can see, we want him to not have any negative connotations with vehicles, so quite happy to just keep a bit of distance from him, and hopefully the next time he'll be nice and relaxed. Hey, big man. Now, he's listening to me at the moment, and the other look carefully is pointing his, or trying to very subtly point his trunk in our direction to get a whiff of us as well. Alright, so we're not going to try and stick with him. Rather, let him be and carry on being peaceful. Bye, big boy. Okay. Now we're on cheetah plains, and of course this is the area where we most see cheetah. And Alex, who's the new viewer, getting the hang of this question thing there, Alex. Alex would like to know how many cheetah are left in the wild and how can he help? Well, Alex, in this part of the world, oh, I'm trying to remember now. I think there's about 500 or so in the low fault, and it's the largest meta population, so the populations with the largest genetic diversity. Now, cheetah, unfortunately, have a very improbable chance of living on past the next 5, even 1,000 years. So it seems like they are a sort of failed arm of the evolutionary tree. They've become so specialized for that speed that they've had to forego a lot of strength and agility to a degree as well. So human beings, of course, have actually helped cheetahs. So about 10,000 years ago, there was a mass die-out of cheetah. Nothing to do with us, but they can, apparently, according to the genetics, they can trace it down to literally there were less than 100 living cheetah. So all the cheetah that have come from those 100. And that is one of the biggest threats that faces cheetah, is that there's not a lot of genetic variation, and especially when it comes to defense against disease. So quite often, a lot of animals, they'll choose a mate based on chemical receptors that say, okay, well, he's got a good, well, obviously size and stuff makes a big role out in animals as well, but he's got an immunity to X, Y, Z. And a male will generally be attracted to a female that has got some of the opposite quality. So if he is immune to, let's feline tuberculosis, and she's not, she'll choose him, or vice versa. Now, that's the problem with cheetahs. So they've almost all got the exact same DNA. You can take a skin graft from a cheetah here and put it on a cheetah in Iran even. I mean, that's how genetically close they are. And in what terms and what you can do to help, well, probably I'd say the best organization in South Africa that deals with all this type of stuff is EWT and the Endangered Wildlife Trust, and they're probably the best people to get hold of. And they do great work in this area specifically with cheetah and wild dog. My friend, a very good friend of mine, actually runs the wild dog program. Oh, there's Ephraim cruising the cheetah plains with a large warthog. Let's just sneak up to the warthog. They can be a little bit skittish from time to time, but this boy looks like he's very relaxed. Big pig. Come down for a drink. You can see he's actually starting to lose a bit of condition. Hips are starting to show, and with quite a lot of animals, that's the first sort of sign that they're under a bit of food stress. Now, a lot of animals are having to move big distances between water and food at the moment. And that is one of the biggest problems for a lot of the animals during a drought. Of course, unless you're a predator, then it's a time of plenty. Hello, hello. Hi, F. Sharp and 4, how are you doing? Where have you checked? Okay. Where are you going next? Okay.
You're going to keep it open?
Yeah.
I can get to check this one.
Okay. Okay, thanks, F. Bye, everyone. So there we go, Ephraim from Cheetah Plains. He's off to check the opposite side that we are. And hopefully between the two of us, we'll conjure a cat. Hi, James Richard, one of our regulars, is wondering, how do cheetah settle territorial disputes? Well, that's actually, they fight. And I was lucky enough to be witness to the first ever cheetah fight recorded on camera. It was a long time ago in Botswana. That fight went on for 9 hours. 2 different coalitions of 3 males each, and it was incredible. They're just balls of fur, and at certain times they got confused and whacked their own brother, and they were like, oh, wrong cheetah, and literally they'd fight for 10 minutes, and then they'd lie and growl at each other for 20 minutes, and then start it all over again. So it was really fascinating, and never been recorded before. And normally with cheetah, it quite often happens that male coalitions are just much stronger than the others, so there'll be 3 and against 1 or 4 against 2, and they just run. But they will fight. Now, female cheetah are not, and they're far more nomadic than the males, and go over quite a large area, much larger than what the males wander. But in this part of the world, the average male home range is about 60,000, 70,000 acres. Now, of course, in other parts of Africa, it can be much larger, so where it all depends on prey densities, and so certain desert areas, a cheetah's home range can be 500,000 acres. Now, really hoping we find some fantastic sightings around. Now, of course, we've been chatting a little bit about how dry it is, and we are in a drought at the moment. And hi, Anne. Nice to have you here, Anne. Anne would like to know, with the drought, what are the chances of us seeing an eland? Anne, that's a very good question. I think the closest I've ever seen eland to here is about, well, it's not too far, in the Timbavati. Oh, I'd still think it's very slim, Anne, and I'd love to be wrong in this circumstance, but I think the chances are quite slim. I would put it down to a less than 1% chance. But of course, there's always a good chance, and especially around here, that we might see a sable, and that would also be a first for the live drive. And I would be really excited if we did manage to find a sable. But while we go look at what's happening around the open areas of Cheetah Plains, let's go see what Commander Bond's been up to.
So we've come to the very last position that those leopards were seen today. Please excuse me not looking you in the eye, but you are standing very close to the sun, everyone. They were on apparently this termite mound here, or somewhere very close to it. I don't see them there now, even though the sun is glaring into my face. So I think we're going to pack this in for now, to be honest. We're going to just wind our way back down to the road where they were last sort of seen heading. Well, they were seen still on this termite mound. I thought they might go down this way towards the waterhole, but they haven't done that, so they're probably just lurking in the shadows somewhere. It is possible that Karula's killed and come to fetch them and taken them away, but I don't see their tracks anywhere, I must say. Anyway, that is the story of things. So we're going to ease our way down back to the road here. I did a little turn through here on foot, and then Taxon said, he said to me he didn't know that the mother was still here, so possibly just better to check in the vehicle. Because if we go in on foot and we just find the babies, we might give them a big fright, and we don't want to do that. They're completely used to the vehicles now. Watch your heads, everyone. No thorns there. Anyway, let's see what happens. Now, if you look around us to the left-hand side, you can see how the leaves have changed colour from the green to the yellow as the season progresses. Now, Janet, you want to know, I think, if leopards can see colour. Is that correct, Louise? They can see their prey colour. Most of the animals out here are on a spectrum, so you're not either, they're not quite colourblind necessarily, so you're not colourblind or not colourblind, if you know what I mean. You fall onto a spectrum. And there are two kinds of cells that you have in your eyes. Well, there are many different kinds, but there are two that make a difference to your ability to see colour and light and dark. And the ones that are important are called rods and cones. Now, rods are the cells in your eyes that allow you to see light and dark, so different shades and contrast. And the cones, and you can remember this because it begins with C and so does colour, allow you to see colour. And the ratio of rods to cones in your eyes will determine whether or how colourblind you are. Now, animals that are nocturnal, like lions and leopards, or certainly they're predominantly nocturnal, tend to be fairly colourblind, so they have a predominance of rods in their eyes and not many cones. And animals like us, which see in very glorious technicolor, have more cones in our eyes, but it means we ain't so good at seeing at night time. I mean, you all know how difficult it is to see on a very dark... 1 second. Yeah, nothing to say there. So, if we look at a lion and a leopard, they don't see in black and white. They see in sort of probably shades of green and red. And that's why if you are an impala or a steenbok, which to our eyes are very obvious in these conditions, because they juxtapose that kind of red chestnut color against the green background. It's very easy for us to see. For a lion or leopard who sees in shades of green and red as opposed to color, full color spectrum, they're quite difficult to see. But at night, you'll pick their movement up very quickly if you happen to have more cones in your eyes. So I don't think that they necessarily tell the difference between the color of an impala and a steenbok or a duiker, but it'll be different. I mean, a little bit like you watching a black and white film, where you can tell if something's lighter or darker than something else, but not necessarily what color it is. Does that give you an idea, Janet? Right, we're going to pack this up and we're going to go back towards the north of the reserve, towards Sydney's Dam, and see what we can pick up there. I haven't seen a mammal. We will find one. And Aaron, you're interested in whether black-backed jackals are active during the day. Black-backed jackals are active largely crepuscularly. That's a good word to say in the morning when you want to warm your lips up. Crepuscularly. And that means they're active dawn and dusk most of the time. Not so active in the middle of the day like this. And you know, it's been a hot day. I mean, really unusually hot for this time of the year. And I suspect quite strongly that there's a big front going to hit us probably tomorrow and really cool us down. And yeah, so they won't be active much now. We're still hoping that those lovely side-striped jackals that have been lurking around the sort of northern reaches of the reserve are going to hang around there. We haven't seen black-backed jackal pairs on Djuma for some time. But maybe Brent will be lucky as he traverses the great plains of Cheetah Plains. I did see a steenbok here when I was on foot, but it ran away. That's the only mammal I've seen in just over an hour now, I think, that we've been out here. Other than David, of course. David is a mammal. Very nice new hat you have on, David. Does it have a story? No story to David's rather impressive floppy blue hat. It's a pity. It'd be nice to have a story, given the lack of animals that are out here. We might have to resort to looking at bushes fairly soon. Or a dung quiz. You always know that we're hacking for content when we do a dung quiz, everyone. We may even have to do an impossibly hard tree quiz. There truly is nothing out here. Oh, that's a great piece of information coming through from Ginny. Thank you, Ginny. You say tomorrow is World Giraffe Day. Unsurprisingly, I had no idea it was World Giraffe Day tomorrow. Did you know that, Dave? You didn't. Pity. You say, could we discuss their humming and perhaps their brain size and their gracefulness? Well, I can certainly discuss the first bit. They don't really hum so much as they make infrasonic rumbles in much the same way that an elephant does. And they're inaudible to the human ear because we have ears that are not particularly tuned into very low frequency sound. But if you live in thick bush like this, a low frequency call is the kind of call that's going to get you the best results. It's the call that's going to travel the furthest. So, keeping an eye out here. So they make a low frequency call much like an elephant does. They also will make loud groaning noises if they're in serious distress. I've heard them do that, and that's a really horrible sound. And then their brain size, well, they don't have an enormous brain proportionately. I mean, they've got a proportionately the same size brain as most of the herbivores out here. But Ginny, there may be some part of the giraffe's brain anatomy that I don't know about that you do. So please send through an indication if you think I'm missing something. We had a wonderful experience over the weekend. Of course, we have a giraffe skull that lives in the camp that we live. And in its brain case, in the spaciousness of the giraffe's cranium, live a little swarm of stingless bees. and they have provided us with astonishing entertainment, climbing out into the microscope lens. Just beautiful stuff. And I'm hoping that we'll be able to kind of one day have the microscope on the vehicle like that, and we'll be able to show you that sort of thing from sitting here. Right, marvellous stuff. Brent Leo Smith is finding all the mammals today. He has some more mammals.
On our way towards the Cheetah Plains Pan, we noticed this big herd of buffalo, and it looks like they're going to come drink. So we've been waiting here a little bit, probably about 5 or 6 minutes, because they were in some really thick bush. We could just hear them making lots of noise, and they're a little bit nervous. But I think the will for thirst is going to overtake them shortly. But they're not the only creatures that are here, but they're definitely the biggest that are on their way towards the waterhole. It is so quiet at the moment. I mean, there's literally not a breath of wind. Now, I hope you guys are ready and with your screenshots, because I think as those buffalo get closer and they get a little bit more excited, they might make some beautiful dust, and very good for photography. Not very good for your camera, but it makes a nice, pretty picture. Hello, Janet, who's in Baltimore. Janet would like to know, what species would I consider a keystone species in our Traverse area? Well, we're looking at one of them, Janet. Big herds of buffalo are very important. Another one would be elephants. Of course, all the predators. Everything changes when you remove any species. But in terms of keystone species that actually change the environment around them, buffalo is a very important one. Now, these big herds, as they march, they disturb the soil. They actually end up putting or planting grass seeds to a degree as they till the soil. They're also large mobile fertilizing units. So the amount of dung that comes out of a large herd of buffalo is full of nutrients and very, very good for the plant species, in particular grass, to grow. Now, they've probably had to move quite far to find enough food. And now they're coming for the water. I don't know if you could see there as she snorted a bunch of flies. Now, the one sometimes quite irksome thing about looking at big herds of buffalo is you collect a few of their flies when you move on. Well, it's difficult to see how many there are, but I'm not sure if it's a very big herd. I'd say there's at least 100. But we have been seeing some very big herds. I think I saw a herd here that was close on 500, 600 a few days ago. They could be nervous. You never know. There could be lions around. And you see, once one sort of gets excited and into the water, it might prompt the others to move a little bit quicker. Hey, buffaloes. It's okay. What are the zebra looking at? You see that, Brian? Behind us. The zebra is staring into the bush. I'm just trying to see what they're looking at. They're all facing one direction. Looking to the edge of the bush there. So once you finish with these buffalo, definitely worth going to have a little look-see around where those zebra are looking. These buffalo are taking their time, moving quite slowly at the moment. Not the biggest herd we've seen, but still awesome to spend time with these incredible bovids. Now, in this part of the world, buffalo constitutes one of a lion's favorite meals. Now, in certain places in Africa, like where I was in Botswana, the best way to find the lions was to find the closest big herd of buffalo, and they would be somewhere behind them. During the dry season in Botswana, you can get herds of 2,000 or 3,000, and the lions literally camp out on those buffalo. So, unlike here, where there's quite a lot of water around, in Botswana, and specifically the area I was in, there was just the one river, and it was incredible amount of animals on there. Now, during the wet season, the rainy season, you wouldn't get these big herds of buffalo. They would all be far away in the Mapanis. But as soon as the water dries in the Mapanis, the buffalo herds were forced onto the river. I'm quite nervous. So it could be coming in from that wilderness area in Kruger. Maybe they've been harassed by lions overnight. But I think I just want to go have a quick look where those zebra are looking. They haven't changed where they're looking for quite a long time, and it could be the cheetah. It also could be Kanyeni. This is also her territory. And Kanyene's a female leopard, if you're not sure. I think Ephraim's also doing the same thing. We've both been watching the zebra, and we thought, something's up. So if those buffalo are a little bit nervous because we're there, it is a drought. I'd rather move away, let them drink. And we don't want to put any pressure on the poor creatures. It's enough already. So I look very carefully over here. Those zebras were staring. Now, cheetah don't really pose a threat to zebras, and neither do leopard. They're a bit big. Although I have seen leopard take zebra foals before. And zebras can be incredibly violent. And they're up to something. Oh, female at the back is massively pregnant. You guys can run, I'm not. I'm still just checking the opposite side to the zebras while you guys look there. I can't see anything. This is a wonderful little area here. It's one of my favorite parts of our whole traverse zone. As we head down towards the area around Buff Pan, it is beautiful. You know, that red soil, you've got this wonderful little river system with leadwoods and large knobthorn trees. And I'm really, really hoping that that female leopard, who's got 2 cubs as well, is in this area. She really likes this area. But while we go check what's going on here, James has got, I think, the same bird we decided he was like, or it would, if James was a bird, he would be this specific bird species. So let's go have a look.
The only person who decided that was Brent Leo Smith, and that's because Viam described him as a hardy-dar, which, of course, if you don't know, is the noisiest bird in the possibly the universe. Everyone, this is a crowned lapwing, the only creature that we can show you at the moment. I think it's a rather impressive bird. It eats largely termites, and we were talking earlier, remember, about coursing predators versus ambushing predators. Them long legs that this bird has are used for coursing after their prey. So, I mean, although their prey are largely termites. Ooh. Yes. Does that feel better? Good. You can see them running there, and they will sort of trot across the ground, and then they pick things up, and they're designed for coursing. They're designed for running across the ground. And if you look there, the bottom right foot, as he lifted it up, but let's wait for him to stop. There we go. See that? He's got no back toe, only the 3 forward-facing toes. And those 3 forward-facing toes just allow him, much like an ostrich actually, to run very effectively on the ground compared with a normal perching bird, which obviously has the toe at the behind for perching, or sometimes 2 toes behind. I think he's rather a special fellow, this, the crowned lapwing. We did see some buffalo, everybody, so we haven't been totally mammal-free. It was just at the same time that you were having a better buffalo sighting with Brent, so we left them. And instead we found you the crowned lapwing. I can hear the collective cheer from around the world as our lapwing makes his TV debut. Can you hear it, David?
Roaring, James. Roaring
crowds of appreciation. Oh, there's another one. 2 crowned lapwings in one place. Our luck, our cup runneth over. There's another one coming out to the front and right of us, David. There. Behind that stumpy thing. See that bent tree?
Yes.
Just behind there. Hiding. Our cup not quite running over just yet. Right, let's carry on. Did you enjoy that sighting, David?
It's fantastic.
Fantastic crowned lapwing sighting. Possibly the best yet. We're now heading towards Sydney's Dam, everyone, to see if we can't pick up some desperately thirsty animal coming down to have a drink. Maybe a big herd of elephants. That would be nice. I hope that Brent's zebras, which were staring into the bushes, are perhaps staring at, yes, maybe in Kanyani or a cheetah. You just see on the road here, Darby, there's something being dragged along the road. It just looks a little bit regular, like it may have been dragged along the road by, you know, a bush being dragged by a car by mistake. But it could be something else. Let's see if we can find some hyena tracks, or maybe leopard tracks. So if you don't know what a drag mark is, it's basically, well, it's a mark left by something being dragged. This is not. This is definitely a drag mark of not a car pulling something. So often, especially hyenas, will pick something up and they'll drag it along to us, not sometimes to the den, sometimes not. So we'll follow along where this thing goes, and we'll keep you posted. Head back to Brent and get an update from him.
Wow, how exciting, drag marks. And that, when you find drag marks, it's always a really good chance, if the hyenas haven't stolen it, that you're going to find a leopard. So fingers crossed. Now this is that area I was telling you about that I just find so beautiful. It's literally just one of my favorite spots in our Traverse area. And beautiful big leadwood trees. And leadwoods are definitely one of my favorite trees. Now, it's called leadwood because the wood is so hard. Now, here's a beautiful one here. Now, if you had to drop a log of leadwood into the water, it would sink to the bottom. a non-floating tree, this one. And if I was a leopard, I'd definitely choose to live around here. Lots of impala normally. So I'm going to have a quick look here. This is the direction those zebras were staring so intently. See if we find any tracks. Now, of course, this area is going to have underground water, and what you see over there is a solar paneled water pump. And you can always tell where there's underground water out in the bush by the different trees. Oh, hello. It's an elephant. Beautiful gardenia. Is it one elephant or is it more than one elephant? I think we should investigate. Looks like a young bull from here. So he could be on his own. There's another beautiful tree. Jackalberry or African ebony. Hello, mister. Oh, you're a bit older than I thought you were when I first saw you, but still not massive. Mid-20s. Hey. He's just stopping listening to us, and he's deciding that he doesn't like us. Oh. No, I think he's just finished eating that one bush he was on. So I'll move a little bit further forward. So I know it's a stick. I saw something back there that really got my attention. Oh, look there, there's a big bottom. Oh, hi, Nigel. Nigel's in the United Kingdom. Nigel would like to know, sorry, I'm just heard something. My ears playing tricks on me. Sorry about that, Nigel. And Nigel wants to know if the solitary ellies are there by choice or they're pushed out of the herd. Well, adult bulls like this, it's generally by choice. And even if they are solitary, there could be another bull within a kilometer. Remember, they can talk to each other for vast distances with those low rumbles. So he might not be alone, but he might just be a little bit far from his friends. But young ellie bulls that you find alone have been pushed out of the herd. But it is the beginning of their sort of solitary existence. I'm going to try and get around so we can have a look at his face. There's one Madolan Dove just to the south of Buff Pan. I'm loving the amount of elephant bulls we're seeing at the moment. Well, he's hiding behind the Peltiforum, or the Weeping Wattle. It's just so still today. He's just managing to keep himself in a spot. I think I'm going to get a better view if I just come down here now. Oh, you're going to shake your head. Yes, we're very scared. We're very big. I'm sorry, mister. There we go. Back to eating. Let's try and move. There we go. We're just going to try to roll forward a little bit. It's okay, mister. There we go. Hi, Tony. Tony's got quite an interesting question. So She watched a documentary about elephants being able to tell how many lions are approaching them via their feet. Now, I've heard lots of these things over there, but as far as I know, it hasn't been scientifically proven. Tony was wondering about that. So, as far as I know, there we go. There's a beautiful image of an elephant's foot. And I've never found any conclusive proof that they are able to tell what's approaching through the vibrations or through the ground. I think more likely they'll be able to tell by smell. They have an incredible sense of smell, and probably by hearing as well. So there's the elephant's back feet. It's smaller feet. The front feet are quite a bit bigger and a slightly different shape. Fortunately, this guy's feet are behind a bush. What a magnificent creature. I definitely feel a special bond with Ellie's, particularly the bulls. They're just so massive, and if you treat them with respect and that, they're so gentle. And he could literally flip our car and throw it away, and yet he just carries on munching away. Hey, big boy. Well, I'll let him continue to munch on his bush willow evening snack. And of course, Ellies need to munch all the time. And they probably feed out of all the animals for the most hours a day. What comes when you're that big, you got to keep eating. Now, I think I could not have asked for a more beautiful afternoon to explore this little corner, and we've got to it as the light sort of hitting the spot. I mean, look at this. I'm going to show you now quickly. Look at that, the light coming through this beautiful big gardenia tree. They didn't flower this year, which I was quite sad about. They got wonderful white and yellow flowers, but hopefully they'll flower as soon as we get some rain. While we continue to check this exquisite part of Cheetah Plains, let's go see how James's tracking is going.
Now, we've had some very exciting news, everybody. We're heading down towards an area called Gowrie Cutline. Now, that is to the sort of middle side of Djuma, basically on the eastern fringes of the Mulwati drainage, and where it crosses into Djuma. That's just up ahead here, and the reason we're rushing there is that Sindile's collar just pinged. Now, what that means, well, first of all, Sindile, for those of you who don't know, I know we have some new viewers as a result of TV. Well, probably you do know who he is because you were watching TV, but he's a just under 2-year-old male leopard who had to be removed from the area because he caught a rabid dog, and for the first time ever, they inoculated him, put him in quarantine for 6 months, and they've just re-released him. And he's come back into his natal territory, or the territory into which he was born. And he's wearing a radio collar so that they can monitor his progress. That collar just pinged to the guy who's got it, which means that it gave a reading as to where he is. Now, the collars are notoriously inaccurate. Well, not inaccurate, they pinpoint exactly where he was, but whether he's there now, we don't know. But we're going to quickly go down and have a look. It's just down here. So this is the Biffles of Cutline. It's the northern boundary of where we're allowed to go. In the dip there is the road. We're going to turn to the south, and he should be somewhere around there, or he might be somewhere around there. And that's the idea. There's another buffalo on the road. We've seen impala and elephant now, and steenbok. It's been a really abundant time. Let's just roll gently down the road. I mean, now this leopard, if he's moving, could be anywhere here. It has been a hot day. He certainly didn't do much moving yesterday, so maybe he's around. This is the third breeding herd of buffalo we've seen now. It's a small breeding herd, and I mean, I've only described it as a breeding herd because there's one female over there. hanging with the dudes. And we're not far from where that leopard is, so just have a quick look at her. She's hanging around with 3 or 4 bulls. It's not that unusual. We do sometimes see that, and sometimes the herds do fragment, and a cow will go off with a couple of the bulls. It's a safe place to be for her, especially if she doesn't actually have a calf. Very large, beefy. Right, let's carry on. Now, James Richard, a very good question from you as we drive along, and hopefully we're going to see young Sindile. You say, has his rehab had any, I always think it's amusing using the term rehab, but has his rehab had any noticeable change on his behavior? Does he behave in the same way that other leopards his age might? I can't see that it has, you know. He's used to the vehicles. He certainly, apparently the first few times he saw a car, he was a bit skittish. But at other times, he's been absolutely fine, totally relaxed around the car, so that's been no different. He'd still be in his mother's territory, so that's what he's doing now, just kind of skirting around where his mum's territory is, so that's pretty normal. I think he's probably wandered a bit further than a male leopard of his age might. You know, as he's kind of re-establishing where he is. But that interaction with his mother the other day was just unbelievable to watch. She wasn't impressed to see him, but it seemed to me, I don't think he showed any sense of aggression. And I don't think that he, I've no doubt that she thought he could kill her new young cub. But I don't believe that he had any such intention. I just think he's a fairly lonely, confused fellow. But I think he's going to get on fine. Right, now it could be anywhere here, everyone, so keep a lookout. It has been a hot day. He could be inside the drainage line there, but he might be just in the sort of fringing shade. All right, while we're looking and scouring the land, let's go back to Brent and get an update, and if we find Sindile, we'll come straight back to you.
I know I've been harping on it, but it is just such a fantastically beautiful evening. And I wouldn't want to be anywhere else apart from on drive with everyone out there. And we do appreciate all your questions and that, so keep them coming. Now we're going to go past, I think, one of my favorite trees on Cheetah Plains. And I don't particularly like the cassias as a family, but this particular one, I'm convinced one day I'm going to find a leopard in it. Now, to the east of here, where I used to work in the Kruger National Park, in these flat basalt plains, and the leopards always liked to put their kills in this tree, especially during the dry season. And there's a couple of reasons for that. It's an evergreen tree, so it doesn't lose their leaves, so they can put the kill in the tree, and it's hidden from birds of prey, and they get a bit of shade while they're snoozing in the tree. Now the funny thing about them is, on those basalt plains, you've got lots of knob thorns, but not very. Some of them are quite big, but they're very narrow. And the odd big leadwood which is another one of their favorite trees in that area. But they're not very tall trees, these cassias. And I've seen many a leopard kill actually stolen by lions. And they haven't even actually had to climb the tree, they sort of just jump up and grab it. And the poor leopard perched on top. I'm really hoping James has some luck with Karula there. Fingers crossed. There, we're coming up to that favorite cassia of mine that I am convinced one day I'm going to see a leopard in. Oh, sorry, I thought James was looking for Karula. Apparently he's gone looking for Sindile, or Sindile as we like to refer to him as sometimes. So here it is. Isn't that just a very pretty tree on top of a termite mound? And I just imagine Mr. Quarantine lying in there with a nice impala kill. So it's a long-tailed cassia. going to take one last look down on the final big open area at Cheetah Plains. I think if we get no luck, we'll start slowly ambling back towards Djuma, but there's always a chance now we're getting to that right time of day that the Stigs, where does that come from? The Styx lioness might start moving onto Gowrie Main, and we might get a chance at having a little look at those cubs. Wouldn't that be fantastic? And of course, Jamie's the only one of us. I don't know who was on camera with her. Brian, was it you? Those little lion cub?
Yes.
It was, yeah. So Brian and Jamie are the only two people at Safari Live who've seen those. And I would desperately love to have a lovely visual of those little ones. And James and I are in agreement. And as cute as leopard cubs are, they just don't quite have the cuteness factor that a little lion cub does. And also because they're social, there's quite a lot more sort of calling and playing, and that sound that a little lion cub makes is probably, just too precious. Oh, ow, 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 ow. And they're all growling and fiddling around. Very, very cool little creatures, baby lions. Hi, Ginny. Ginny's in the Lone Star State, Texas. And Ginny would like to know, would a female leopard kill another female leopard's cubs? She would definitely, Ginny, and that's why you find female leopards will generally have their dens or cubs in the middle of their home range. As they get a bit older and they're a bit faster, she will move them out to the peripheries, and when she's got a kill. I have heard, I didn't see it though, but Karula had a kill right on the edge of her range with Shadow, and she did bring the cubs to that. So it is possible. Now this is one of these roads that's very seldom driven. Well, it's always nice to come explore these areas every now and then, have a look what tracks have been around. It's another route down to that big open area. So you're going to be stuck with James and I for the next little while, and Jamie is on leave. And then I'll be going on Thursday, I think, after the Sunrise Safari. Just shooting away for a few days to go to a very good friend's wedding down on the coast. Definitely going to have to. I was going to take my fishing rods, but I think I'm going to spoil myself and buy a new one while I'm at the beach. But while we continue to check around here, let's see how James's hunt for the glorious little cinderella is going.
All right, everybody, we're into the vicinity where young Cinderella was, and if you have a look at this picture here on my phone, that's what the ping said. Now we're on this road here, and there's the Buffalo cut line you can see cutting across there, and he's about a third of the way along. Now this is not a sort of active image, so I can't sort of put a GPS coordinate into it, but we're probably about 100 meters or 300 feet or so south now of where he was. But you can see from the picture there that he was east of the road. So I think inside the Mulwati drainage line here. So let's just drive along. We'll listen out for any bird alarm calls. Starting to cool down a little bit now, and so he may start to get moving. He may have been moving when it pinged. So let's just ease our way along here. Just going to look into the sand that side, see if he isn't there. Dappled spots. Now you see, when we get into the thick stuff like we're in now, then it's going to be very difficult. I may have to go off and have a look on foot. Let's just go a little bit further and just peer into this bush here. But you can see, I mean, if you were a leopard, the drainage line area would be much better idea. A little bit further up. All right, let's head back across to Brent and I'll keep searching.
We've made it to the big open area and just having a quick look. It is, I know I keep harping on it, but the light this evening is just to die for. And so afternoons and moments like these that you sort of really understand, or for me, I understand and just absolutely cannot believe that this is what I get to do every day. and it doesn't always have to be about the cats and the action. I mean, just look at this. I mean, there's not an animal out here, but it is still just a scene that just sort of takes your breath away. Oh, there's a fire. You can see the smoke there. Probably a bit difficult, but yeah. Looks like there's a fire quite far to the south there, probably. No, it'll be outside of Kruger. And some citrus farms there. It's not a really big fire, maybe burning old wood or something. Now, of course, fire is something we not actually going to have to worry about this year because there's no grass to burn. But it is something we have to deal with out here in the bush quite often. And they can run away quite quickly. But fire is not really a negative thing. So most of Africa outside of the rainforests is what you call a fire climax biome. So a lot of species of grass and trees, but more specifically grass, needs fire. So fire will, we've got a flock of little creatures here, or little birds. And a couple of different species, maybe. Oh, sorry, Brian and I are looking in different places today. I'm on the ground right next to us. Some little things hopping around. And some blue waxbills. Now, always look very carefully when I see blue waxbills, because sometimes there might be a different species with them. And I know a lot of serious birders with those bird lists up and over 200. And we've got to work hard to get you some more species. And I think one I really have been trying to get on camera, it just keeps escaping, is orange-winged petilia, which is a type of little waxbill or little seed eater. Well, just the blue ones today. So I was chatting about fire then. So and when I say fire is a really important aspect of the African bush. So there's a lot of grass species that after they've burnt, they really grow at a magnificently fast rate afterwards. So it stimulates them, and also what happens with the fire is it removes a lot of the dead and decaying grass, and you can actually you can kill a cow by putting it in a field full of tall grass. Most grass species that are good for the animals are better when they're short. So if they're constantly grazed, and it constantly causes them to grow and grow faster. Now, that's another reason we're talking about buffalo being keystone species. Another important reason for buffalo, they're big lawn mowers. And once they've gone through an area, and an animal like a wildebeest, which is a very particular feeder, has a much better chance of getting the right grasses and the right amount of grass. Everything here is connected. Fire, drought, rain, flood, everything. Hi, Tabby Lion. Tabby Lion would like to know, is it true that fire can travel, and Cassie Lion can travel underground via tree roots. I wouldn't say it travels, but it'll travel to the end of the root. It can burn underground, but it also just depends on the type of soil it's in. So fire needs oxygen. So if it's a very tightly based sort of clay soil, it's very unlikely that will keep burning. It'll just extinguish itself. But in looser based soils and where there's lots of clods and stuff like that, it is possible for that fire to keep burning under the ground, but it doesn't really travel. It's not really going to jump onto another root. It's a very slow burn, so no real flames, but sort of coals. We're going to do one last gander down the Kruger boundary. See if we can find my pangolin friend. If nothing, I'm going to start heading back towards Djuma. What was that? Oh, that was an interesting track. No, it wasn't. It was Howard the hyena. Still, the thing amazes me, we still haven't seen one hyena on cheetah plains. I don't think any of the others have either. Oh, you guys who watch regularly, anyone remember a hyena sighting on cheetah plains? If you can, please let me know. I'd love to know about that, and you can email us and questions@wildearth.tv or use the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. Hi, Monique. Monique's in the Big Smoke, London. Monique would like to know which animal has the most acute sense of smell here. Now, there's quite a few animals that have really good senses of smell. Sorry, Monique, with you in a second. I just want to see what's been walking here. I think it's the same hyena. Well, elephant obviously comes to mind immediately with that massive trunk, but you'll probably find it's going to be one of the smaller species. Like an aardvark, for example, has got an incredible sense of smell and hearing. Yeah, I think probably elephant or aardvark probably have two of the best senses of smell. Monique, it's a really great question. It's something you don't think about too much. I'll be fascinated when James is back from looking for Cinderlie, what he thinks which animal has the most impressive sense of smell. Now, hearing, there's some incredible hearing. All your little termite eaters, aardvark and aardwolf, the bat-eared fox, can actually hear the termites moving underground. Now that I find amazing. And let's try to think what. Hyena, also fantastic sense of smell. All the big cats. But I think I'm going to go with Eddie's. They're able to smell stuff under the ground and dig it up. Oh, hello. It's our little bit of our nervous herd of buffalo. So I'm not going to stay too long with them. They're heading back towards the Kruger National Park now. And they've finished their drink. Hello, buffs. Sorry, I know you guys are not the most calm, so I'm going to try to sneak past you quietly. It is fantastic. Look at that. Yes, shame. I'm not going to impede them. They're going to have a tough year. And they've had a tough year, and the year's only going to get tougher for buffalo. Hi, James Dungan. James is actually brought up very interesting. In the States, there's people who hire out goats to keep those grasses short and keep it sort of in order. Now, it's a very effective thing. Goats can be quite destructive though if they're left too long in an area. They are amazingly adaptable creatures. And I've seen in rural parts of Botswana and Zambia during drought that they will even eat cardboard, and they're able to get some form of sustenance out of that cardboard. Isn't that incredible? Donkeys are another one that can eat cardboard. Okay, well, cheetah plains have some lovely ellies, lovely buffalo, some zebras, and it's been a little bit on the quiet front from the big cat-wise, but it has been just absolutely gorgeous. It's incredible light. So I think maybe let's go see if we can up the ante, head back to Djuma, give James a hand working around there, and who knows what we're going to find. That's the best thing about being out live. There could literally be a giant male lion around the next corner. Oh, hello, Boko. 1, 2, 3. Oh, normally you got the 3 count before it disappears. Oh, yeah. Little female steenbok. A very pretty little antelope. Now, a steen is a rock, or a piece of, rock, and that's where they get their name from. It's one of their defense mechanisms against predators is to keep dead still, as still as stone, and it's quite effective. I've actually seen a wild dog sniff less than 30 centimeters from a steenbok, and because it didn't run, and the dogs didn't go for it. Most of the predators out here are triggered by movement. Very pretty little girl. Bye, little steenbokkie. So we're in the far east of cheetah plains, so we've got quite a long stretch of cheetah plains left. And I'm going to head to an area we didn't do earlier along the northern boundary, just in case something's moved through during the time we've been down in the south and the east. We've just seen that gorgeous little steenbok, and Abhishek is wondering, why don't we see them more often? Well, normally because by the time you count to 3, they've run away. So the grey duiker and the steenbok are 2 smaller antelope species we see regularly here. There's always a chance that we might see a grysbok. One has been seen next door in Buffelshoek, but it's unlikely. They prefer rocky areas, and we don't really have too many rocky areas. But it's because they generally run away before we can swing the camera around. It would be nice for a quarantine male leopard to make a surprise appearance as we move along the northern section of cheetah plains. And that's where he is found normally, in this north and central area of cheetah plains, around 3 in a row pan. We're definitely going to have another squiz at the waterhole as we head back that way, because you never know what might have popped out of the bush. Okay. I think it's time for a little quiz. What do you think, Brian? I think we should get you guys back at home to do some work. Normally we do trees or birds, but I think let's do mammals. We haven't done mammals in a long time. And we're going to talk about the spiral horned antelope, which is my favorite antelope family. Aha. Yes, that's a good question. So, how many spiral horned antelope are there in Africa? Not in Djuma. Actually, we can have a two-part question. No, let's start off with how many spiral horned antelope species may possibly occur in Djuma, or on Djuma and Cheetah Plains or the Sabi Sands. So if you think you know how many spiral horned antelopes occur in the Sabi Sands or the Greater Kruger, let me know what they are, and you can do that by emailing questions@wildearth.tv, or you can use the hashtag SafariLIVE on Twitter. The smell of the bush at this time of the year is fantastic. You can smell the dust, sort of drying leaves. Elephant odor wafts through as you drive. We're going to go have one quick last look at 3 in a row pan before heading back to Djuma, and let's go see how James' tracking's been.
Now, everybody, I'm not going to look you in the eye, I'm just looking down here. I walked into this drainage line, and quite a substantial portion of it, I didn't see any tracks. We couldn't get a vehicle in there anyway, but this is where the ping came from. Down inside the Mulwati drainage line, perfect leopard habitat, thick bush, cool sand on a hot day like this. I've no doubt he was in there at some stage today. He might still be in there, maybe moving towards Hyena Road, which is to the east of us. So we're going to go around. Even if I had found him, we wouldn't have been able to get a car in there, I'm afraid. So let's see, we might be lucky. The one thing that is out here in great abundance at the moment are the flies. There are thousands of them reveling in the heat provided by this midwinter unseasonable heat. And most of them are now in my inner ear, which makes for some difficult sort of hearing. I'm just scouring inside here, then I shall look you in the eye again. Just while we drive along here, excuse my rudeness. When it ain't your day, it ain't your day. Well, let's go down here. Hello Matthew, a nice question from you, a very astute question. You say, how quickly does the temperature drop here at night? Well, normally pretty fast. You know, as the sun goes down, literally, as it pops below the western horizon, we'll put a jersey on. But today, I just don't think that's going to be the case. Today, I feel like it's probably going to stay quite warm until late tonight, and then I think a front is going to hit us. Now you can imagine this kind of road has been carved here so that we can get through the drainage only on this road, but you can imagine it's like this all the way along, and so very, very difficult to get through. Let's just peek our way through. We might find him lying in the shade somewhere. It would be so nice to see him. This is the great Mulwati drainage. And unlike its southern reaches on Djuma, where we can sort of drive through it, we cannot do that here. It doesn't have anything like the space. Drive past him in 3.5 seconds. Davey, you see any leopards anywhere?
Not just yet.
You will tell me though, won't you? Yes, thanks. No, not my day. Now this does bring up the great debate, of course, of why on earth don't we just put subcutaneous tracking devices on all our animals if it's so easy to, you know, get a pinpoint from them. It does somewhat take the romance out of it. I am personally, once Sandila has established himself, I'm looking forward to the day that that collar falls off him, as I'm sure it will. But for the moment, we'll take advantage of it. Like I say, it's supposed to send regular pings, that collar, which it does, but sometimes they're received a bit later. Now, Nisa, you're in North Carolina, and it's a very good question. I think you were watching yesterday or 2 days ago when we had that unbelievable interaction between Shadow and Sandila and the young cub. And you say, do leopards and lions recognize their offspring from a previous litter, or do they just see them as a threat to the new litter? I believe that they do absolutely recognize each other. I'm pretty sure that Shadow knows who Sandila is. I'm pretty sure that Sandila definitely knows who Shadow is. He wouldn't have hung around there had he not known who she was. And I just think that, you know, the leading cause of cub death, leopard cub death, is infanticide from unknown male leopards. So it's really not, you know, it's not surprising that she's a little bit reticent to have him hanging around. But she wasn't that aggressive with him. And he showed, to my mind, watching the interaction, we saw a bit of the interaction before we went live. I mean, we actually went into the sighting to look. I just think that he was confused. I don't think he showed any sense of aggression at all. What he'd do to the new cub, I don't know. I think it's unlikely that he'd harm it. No, I'm afraid we're going to give this up. We're going to come back past here a little bit later on when it's cooled down. Let's go to Buffelshoek Dam. I know that Brent started there today, and we may be lucky and have those lions pop out for a drink as the sun starts to set on another glorious African winter's day. I would show you the sunset, but it's right behind us, of course, so that's almost impossible. See if we can get up onto the ridge, Chris, and we'll have a look. Here we go. Now, there are not many jobs where Monday morning or your Monday at work ends with a scene like that. That's how my Monday office view looks, everyone. Jealous much? Not bad, Dave. Hmm?
Not too shabby. Not
too shabby. Could be worse. Could be better if there was a leopard silhouetted in the tree against the sky there. But it's still wonderful to have the wonderful sunset every single day. James Dungan, yes, very good question. You say, wouldn't a leopard cub and leopard mother know each other from smell? Yes, absolutely, I think they would. I think that would be the major way that they recognized each other. Smell is massively, massively important, even to us as human beings, and half the time we don't even realize it. And we know that our noses are not anything like as powerful as many of the animals out here, and that the organs that we have for interpreting smell are almost vestigial. In other words, they are relics of our evolutionary past, but still smell is massively important to us. And you know that your family smells like home. You know that your partner, if you like, either smells like home or sometimes just doesn't smell quite right. I've certainly had that experience. Not bad, just not right. And so I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that a leopardess would recognize her cubs from their smell completely. Righty, let's move on from here. Brenty has some, I believe you have some answers to Brent's quiz.
Look at that exquisite African sunset. That burning orb is disappearing below the western horizon. And it seems like we have some answers for the spiral-horned antelope quiz. And we're about to go into a little dip here, so we might lose signal, so I'm going to wait here. Well done. Ooh. Lynn, Chris, and Kyle all say 5. I think it's 4, if I remember correctly. We've got kudu, bushbuck, and what am I missing? Inyala, and eland are the 4 spiral-horned antelopes in this part of the world. Now, as we move up Africa, there's a few more. Sitatunga being the next one closest, and that's up in, starts in northern Botswana around the Zambezi River. We go further north, we get, where are we on now? 5. And Sitatunga is 5, and then you go into the rainforest, the bongo, it's number 6. And then also Lord Derby's eland, another species of eland, 7. Lesser kudu, Tanzania, Kenya, and there's one more. Mountain Inyala in Ethiopia. So we're going to go back to James while we scoot through this little bad signal area, and we'll be back with you when next time you see us, we'll be on Djuma.
Right here, everyone. Oh, you didn't see that one, did you, Davey? No, you didn't. I only asked for it. Just to prove everybody that we're not having a totally mammal-free drive, there is a buffalo. Just enjoying his sunset cud. Doesn't that look nice, Dave?
Beautiful.
You wish you also had some sunset cud to chew?
I do, James.
And he's just very, very relaxed. I think we're going to carry on with him, and we're going to head towards Buffelshoek Dam and see if those lions don't pop out. So if he has headed east, Sandila I mean, from where he was, which I think is quite likely, then this is the road that he'll come to. But who knows when that might be. We may be lucky. So Brent obviously on his way back from the east being Cheetah Plains. This of course is the worst road on Djuma, and so you must watch out, you must remove your dentures while we're driving along here, and please don't spill your drink on your lap. A hot cup of coffee on the lap, very painful, not nice. Not so, no? Yes, yes. Now this is the kind of area that fills with water in the summertime, so should the predicted deluge materialize later on in the year, this is where the natural water would form, and this is why there's this great debate about whether or not there should be dams at all. In good years of rain, on these sort of very clayey areas like that, water will gather, and animals will come and drink, they'll come and lie in them, and they'll make good use of them. And then when they dry up, the animals go off and they find some other ones. And that gives the area, the grazing around an area like this, time to recover. And then when it rains again, they come back. Whereas if you've got permanent water, like these dams, well, then of course there's never any real grazing relief on the rangeland outside. But what it does mean is that you have a regular, steady stream of animals coming your way. And if you're running a tourism operation or something like that, which just about everybody in this area is, and you know, without the tourists we wouldn't have this conservation land, well, you can't really have only sort of a month in each year when you've got animals around. So it's always a bit of a trade-off. Not that there are many animals around this particular road right now. And just to reiterate to you, you can come to either Arathusa or Djuma, which is where we are now, or you can go to Cheetah Plains, which we also drive on, and you can go to any of those places and you can visit as a tourist. And they traverse larger areas than we as wild earth are able to traverse, so you're almost certain to see lions and leopards in a sort of 3 or 4 night stay. Definitely elephants and buffalo and that sort of thing. Andy Brown, very nice question. You say, why are there no bear species in Africa? Andy, you say every other continent has got them except Africa. That is not very cross, Franklin. That is not entirely true in that Antarctica ain't got no bears, just a lot of penguins. But I take your point. There are no bears south of the Sahara. There used to be bears in the Atlas Mountain called the Atlas bear, and I think there's some debate as to whether it was introduced or not from Europe. Now, the Atlas Mountains are up in the very north of Africa, just around about Morocco sort of side, very high mountains, and there used to be bears apparently around there. They are long since extinct as far as I'm aware. But all throughout Eurasia, obviously Europe, and into the Americas and much of even the Asian subcontinent into India, you will find bears. And I don't know if you get them in South America. I don't think you get bears in South America, do you? Maybe versions of bears. In Australia, yes, you've got a koala bear, but as far as I'm aware, a koala bear is not an ursid, as we'd call it. It's not from the same family as the bears. I think that the koala is a marsupial, and therefore very, very, not even vaguely related to any kind of bear. But why don't we get them here? The ecological niche that a bear would fulfill in its, in northern Africa, Eurasia and into North America is full here. And that ecological niche is of the sort of apex predator, and it's, that's just what evolved over there, and evolved in the absence of many of the predators that we have in this area. I think specifically bears are very good at being able to lay down fat, and you need to be able to lay down fat very effectively if you go through times of boom and bust, i.e. A very severe winter juxtaposed with a very abundant summer. We don't have that situation here, where our summer, well, at least our winter, look at us sitting in our shirt sleeves, 88 degrees Fahrenheit, midwinter. It's just really not that terrifying. So animals like bears, which do lay down enormous fat reserves, don't have any, those adaptations are not particularly effective for an area like this. I hope that sort of answers your question, but basically the niche that a bear would fill over here is filled with other predators. I don't know why that Franklin is so very upset. Anyway, I'm just going to pop down to Buffelshoek Dam and see if we can't see something there. We might be lucky, we might not. Now, the drainage line system here is quite confusing, so we're now heading down back into what is essentially a tributary of the Mulwati. So the Mulwati is that big one that we were driving along there. This is a tributary that feeds out of Buffelshoek Dam. There's a nyala, David. Can you believe it? We've found another mammal. Our skill is unparalleled. There it is, everybody. Hiding like everyone else. And all you can see there are the white chevrons on the nyala's nose that apparently are supposed to help it see in this thick bush in which it lives. Light is supposed to reflect off those chevrons into the eyes. I am slightly suspicious of that. Why has it got a white sock on its left foot? And indeed its right foot. I don't think that's to reflect light into its eyes. So I wonder if it isn't just sort of decorative in order to attract mates in the same way that a peacock's tail might be. There are a whole lot of females behind. also in the deeply thick bush. Now, remember we were talking about the colour blindness. I'm just going to sneak slightly forward so that Dave can see the females there. You got them, Dave?
Yep.
And remember we were talking about colour blindness, and we were talking about whether or not animals can see those things. Now that red colour that you can see walking through there, that's pretty obvious to our eyes. It's not very well camouflaged, except in the winter like this, when those stripes and I guess that chestnut colour does mix in with some of the vegetation. But in summer, you can see there how the chestnut colour really sticks out against the green. If you see in no colour, i.e. in sort of greens and reds, that's going to be almost impossible to see unless it moves. And then when it moves, those stripes that the Nyala's got will break the outline and make it slightly more difficult for a nocturnal predator to see where they're going. Very nice. Okay, Beavertook Dam before the darkness falls. The other thing out here, of course, as I've said before, is that once the sun sets, it's almost like a light going out. And I know many of you at higher latitudes, there we've got this Nyala, he was going to come across the road. At higher latitudes have got a very lengthy twilight, which we don't have. You've got hardly any twilight at all. Isn't that nice? Yeah, he's a magnificent fellow. He really is a spectacular bull. So, I mean, if you haven't seen a Nyala before, that's the male, and the female completely different. Total sexual dimorphism, we call it. And it's the only antelope species where the dimorphism is so apparent. Could be a completely different animal. He's very dark, I must say. He's only got a... Dave, that is extremely unusual. You see how he's only got a white sock on his left leg?
I did notice that.
Let me just ease forward. You know what we're going to have to call him, don't you, Dave?
What's that, Dave?
Socks. Socks the Nyala. Yes, very nice little stocking he's got there. Come on, show us your stocking. There we go. No, it's not time for supper just yet. Well, you can just see the whiteness there. And his beard, his very impressive beard. He might be a hipster, Dave. Yeah, he's very upset when I said that. He's turned his back on us. Let's head across to Beavertook Dam. I just want to get there before it gets dark and see if we can't see a predator over there. I'm going to drive a little bit faster. Not breakneck speed. Whoops. Still there, Dave?
Good.
Dave's still there, everyone. We'll see if we can get there before it gets dark. It's just up this next road. Lean to the left, everyone. Don't fall out the right-hand side of the car. Phew. Now here it's a bit cooler down in the dips as the katabatic flow begins. That's a word we use a lot at this time of the year, katabatic flow, and it's the flow of the warm air out of the drainage line areas as the sun sets. So the cold air starts to settle down here, the warm air rises up to the ridge crests, and if you're sitting on a ridge crest now having your evening snifter, you'll feel a very gentle warm breeze coming up. It's really very pleasant indeed. Audrey, age 12, a nice question from you. You know, it's a difficult one. You say, will zebra babies or zebra dads kill their babies like leopard dads. It's not leopard dads that kill their babies, Audrey, it's other males. So it's males who are not their dads. And yes, zebra will do the same sort of thing, not as often, but it does happen, and I've certainly seen it happen here. And it's a difficult one for us to deal with because we know that as human beings, it doesn't happen with human beings. You know that if you come across a man who's not your father, he's unlikely to try and do you harm unless he's a criminal. He's normally likely to be very nice to you. And that's what we are as human beings. We're generally nice to each other, but for the criminal element, of course. And you'll find the closer you get to human beings, so, you know, so the baboons and monkeys, yes, they do kill each other, probably not quite the same amount as leopards and zebras, for example. And so the closer you come to being a human being, so the less that sort of thing happens. But of course, the best dads out here, and as we were talking about this Father's Day, which was yesterday, are the birds. The birds are very good fathers. They spend a lot of time. They don't just produce the offspring with their female birds. They then help, much the same as human dads do. They help to raise the kids and raise the little chicks, teach them to fly, teach them to hunt, teach them what to eat, look after them, chase off other predators. And very few mammal species other than humans do that. So Audrey, it's a common question, that it's a common thought, and we're often looking for mammal species like ours where the males are good fathers, and it's because it makes us feel like we have something in common with them. It makes us feel in a sense of attachment. The wolves and the wild dogs are a bit different. They've got pretty good fathers. The cats tend not to have such good dads. Although, you know what, I say that, but, you know, although a male lion may not make a great deal of effort with his offspring, and he'll tolerate them if he happens to be around the pride when they're around, he plays a very important role in their lives. So many of you will know that the male has very little to do with the pride of females and cubs, and he patrols, and he'll have maybe 2 or 3 prides in his territory, and he doesn't do any kind of feeding of the kids, he doesn't help to hunt anything, but what he does do is protect the territory from other males coming into the area who would kill the cubs. And so although by human standards I suppose he's not a great dad, he's not about to go off to Little League and watch his cubs learn to play baseball or anything like that, and he's certainly not going to bring them nice food to eat, he will look after the area in which they live. And that is very important when you're living in the wilderness. So, by human standards, not so good. By animal standards, well, that's just his role. All right, Brenty is back on Juma. Let's go and get an update from him.
Well, Brian and I have decided to throw the dice in that area where Karula was seen this morning, and we're hoping to find her out on the hunt. Now, if we see the cubs, we're not going to stay. It's a bit too late in the day, but we're hoping that she might be off hunting away from them. So we're just going to have a quick loop through this area, see what's about. Now, I think the quiz worked so well, we should do another one. What do you think, Brian? Brian, would you like to do a quiz for a change?
Oh, I've got nothing to quiz.
Brian's got nothing to quiz, okay. Let's think. This is a good one, and I'm sure a lot of our leopard lovers will be fast on it. What is the oldest ever recorded male leopard in the wild? And if you really know his name even, I'll be even more impressed. So if you know who the oldest male leopard ever recorded in the wild was, or his age and his name if you know it. So if you got that information, send it through to me on questions@wildearth.tv or use the hashtag SafariLIVE on Twitter. But there's been no sign of any tracks coming out of this block where Karula was. Actually, I just asked James where the report of Sindelai was, and we can just also do a squiz through that area. It might have got moving now that it's cooler. James. James, what area were you looking for, Sindile? What area was that report of Sindile? Sorry, just listening to James. Okay, copy. I was just wondering. I'll take a quick check around Zoe's, that area, see if Karula pops up somewhere this side. James is actually still in that area, so he's going to check around there. And now Steph's calling us. Ooh. Sorry, there's monkey's alarm calling around the lodge. James is closer, but I think we're going to go give him a hand as well because we're not too far. We're about 5 minutes from there. James is about 3 minutes away. So, well, let's go see what's happening around the lodge. Could also be one of those Nkahuma lionesses. They've been split for a while now, and we are seeing tracks of a single female around the lodge quite often. And it has been an absolutely gorgeous evening. I haven't seen too many of the big hairies and scaries. We've had lovely ellies, but it has just been spectacular out here. And Brian and I were discussing, we think it's because it's warm again. We don't need all our jackets and things, and not bad middle of winter, 88 degrees Fahrenheit, 31 Celsius. I'll take that. Hello, Michael, who's 13, and mother Amanda. Welcome on the safari. And they were wondering about elephants' toenails. Do they grow? They most certainly do. And the reason they never really look like they grow too much is that when elephants are constantly using their feet, they're kicking the ground, they use their feet to dig out stuff, so they don't need nail clippers, they do it by wear and tear. Nice to have a mom and son on the safari with us today. It's that half light at the moment. It's spectacular. And one of my favorite words refers to this half light period, but at dusk and at dawn, and it's called crepuscular. It just sounds so wonderful to say. Crepuscular. Say crepuscular, Brian.
Crepuscular.
There we go. Crepuscular. It is a lovely word. But it's one of those funny times when you're out in safari where it's quite difficult to spot things. You can't see with a spotlight. Actually makes it harder to spot things because your eyes immediately are drawn to that light and they're very focused. So you've got to just strain your eyes a little bit, try to see some of that movement or something that just looks slightly out of place. Oh, can feel the temperature drop as we go through this little river system. Whoops, it is. Over the bumps. Now, these, of course, are not speed bumps. They are called mitre drains. And they're to make sure that the roads don't become big erosion areas. So when it rains, it just takes the water off to the side. Now, we're coming to have a look around quarantine. I know James is checking around the dam. So, well done, Valerie, and many, many others say the oldest recorded leopard was 17 years, but that was a female. So I asked what was the oldest recorded male leopard in the wild, and he actually used to live not too far from where we are, and down on the Sand River. And he happened to be, while I was working in that part of the world, my favorite leopard. He's also the leopard I've come closest to on foot. Now, we're tracking him while he was mating with a female, and I went into the Sand River, and there's big mounds of sand that have been put there over the various floods and that of the year, and on top of there's Phragmites, which is a reed. And I had my head down, I was looking at the tracks, and my tracker, Mr. Matubula, said, "Hey, don't move." And I literally looked up, and on eye level with me, probably this far away, I looked straight into a monster male leopard's eyes. I will not lie, my heart definitely quickened quite a bit in that moment. But he didn't move, he just watched me, and then I stepped back slowly, and we went back and fetched the car and had a fantastic sighting of him mating. Okay. Let's go give James a hand around the dam. I can see a buffalo. That's not what we're looking for. I suppose it's about time to get the old spotlight out. Nearly. So, while I try and figure out where my spotlight is, let's go see what James is up to.
Now, we came into this area, everyone, because we heard reports of monkeys alarm calling down here by the Juma Dam. Now, that's where we are now. So we left Buffelshoek. Nothing going on at Buffelshoek Dam at all. One lonely heron. Davy, the aerial's down. Is it all right? Okay. I'll just stop so that Dave can fix the aerial. And the monkeys, we think, are at Vuyatela Camp. That's not far from here. In fact, you can just see their lights twinkling off into the bushes there. Dave will show you once he's fixed the aerial. He's just reattaching it to the car, because we drove into this area quite quickly. Come on, David.
There you are.
Right, good, well done. So maybe Sindile came west instead of east. Maybe that's what the monkeys were shouting at. So we'll drive onto the dam wall where there's a beefy, and then we'll go back down and around, I think, to Gallagher Pan. There are impala drinking merrily at the dam, at the pan, so I'm not sure that anything's particularly large and scary has come along to see them. Go ahead, Brent. Gerda, you say you love this time of the evening. I love this time of the evening too. Listen, the baboon's alarm calling. They're not around here. The monkeys are still around the other side. I can hear them going, cow, 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 cow. and baboons go, "Bow! Bow!" And that's what's going on there. Let's go back. They're over there to the right-hand side of your screen. So let's leave the BP, which looks extremely comfortable, not in the least bit terrified, and go and see what's causing the consternation amongst the baboons. While we do that, let's head across to Brent and get an update from him.
Look at that. It's full moon. Isn't that just spectacular? Now, we often get very red moons at this time of the year, and that's due to all the dust in the air. So it creates that reddish color. So as the moon heads higher, you'll notice it's going to get brighter and clearer. Now, James is going to go check on Mvubu side. I can also hear those baboons alarm calling. So I'm going to check from the opposite side. So hopefully we'll find you guys a cat before the end of the sunset safari. Of course, I got distracted by the moon and forgot to get my spotlights. I'll have to get out to get it. We'll just get up onto quarantine quickly. Oh my goodness, isn't that the colors tonight? The moon, the sunset, it's just been an absolutely gorgeous day. I'm going to ask Brian to show you that gorgeous sunset while I try to get the spotlight out from where it's caught. Success. We have had some success with the spotlight. Now we can go look for a cat. Now we're ready. Oh, magic. Oh, another tough day in the office, Brian. Chris Rogue, you are spot on. I was definitely talking about the Camp Pan male. And you are correct. He was a legend. He is legendary. So as far as I know from the research I've done, he died when he was just shy of his 15th birthday, making him the oldest recorded male leopard in the wild. Now, he was absolute beastie, and he dominated for a very long time around the Sand River. He was born at Singita to the Tavangumi female in the Tavangumi koppies. Oh no, sorry, yes, he was born to the Tavangumi female. And when he first became independent from his mother, he spent a lot of time at Camp Pan, which is a little water hole on Singita. So that's where he got his name. And he pushed out another big male called, well, we used to call him Old Paleface, and he was called the Manuletti male. And both of those were spectacularly large leopards. And Camp Pan was the biggest leopard I'd ever seen until I saw Anderson for the first time. Now, Anderson is, in my opinion, I've looked at photographs of them at the same age, and Anderson is bigger than the legendary Camp Pan. Kyle says he looks a bit like Anderson. I know, Kyle, it makes you wonder, is there a bit of Camp Pan's genetics in that boy? So he was, from a body size, he was also one of the largest male leopards on record. The largest ever male leopard in the wild, of course, was around just over 200 pounds. And old Pan was not shy, or not far off that weight. Switch off and listen for a second. It's all gone quiet. I'm going to ask James where he is, and if James is going to check through here, I'm going to check further to the west. James? James, are you going to check that little link road past Gallagher? Copy. I'm going to check Gallagher shortcut then through towards Buffelshoek. Okay, so James is checking down there at the moment. Those baboons were alarm calling somewhere in this area, but it's very likely that whatever it is on the move. So it pays to have a couple of vehicles circling the area. Much easier for us to possibly find them. Find whatever might have been being shouted at. Now, we've just had a beautiful look at that moon. Now, with the camera that James has got today, and Dave, they're going to go take you on a tour, I think, of the moon. So let's go have a look.
Not sure about a tour of the moon, everybody, but we're certainly going to try and have a good look at it. And there you can see the rabbit. People, I think, are mad when they say that they can see a man in the moon. Can you see the man, David?
I don't, James.
I don't see the man either, David. I think it's utterly ridiculous. But that just might be a lack of imagination on my part. Anyway, you can certainly see the rabbit there in glorious high definition. And we've stopped here by the Gallagher pan. The baboons are not calling anymore, nor are the monkeys. And so I'm slightly at a loss as to what to do. What we are going to do is turn around. Brent is going up the road in front of us. And so what we'll do is go up the road off to where the moon is, basically, and see if we can't pick something up there. I'm just taking a photograph of very, very suspect quality. Very suspect, very blurred, horrible. Won't take it again. Well done, David. Yours is much better.
Thanks, James.
Good job. Let's move on. Okay, so we're going to turn around just to give you an idea. Brent is off in front of us that way, going up towards the cut line. We're going to go up that way. This is in front of us is a melee of 4 or 5 different drainage lines that eventually culminate in the Djuma Dam. And so to get, you know, kind of an accurate picture of what's going on in there is almost impossible in the darkness. You have to go in there on foot. So we'll just flank it for the next few minutes that we have left, and we'll see if something doesn't pop out. Paul, you say the last time there was a strawberry moonrise like that was during the summer solstice 70 years ago. Paul, what is a strawberry moon? I mean, I can see that that is a quite red one, but is that not just the winter's dust hanging in the air? That's really interesting. I'd love to know more about what you mean there, Paul. It's very beautiful. Right, I'm going to drive a little bit quicker. See if we can't pick something up. My luck has not been with us today. It's just the way it goes, Dave. Yes. Monday afternoon. Tough day at the office. Now, Paul, I don't know, I've never heard the term strawberry moon before. But that is probably a fault of my education rather than the lack of its existence. I'd love to know more about that. This is one of the drainage lines that then feeds into the Djuma Dam. And this is the kind of main one that they all join And the baboons, of course, that were alarm calling, and the monkeys will be roosting, probably in the tall trees that flank the drainage lines or dry riverbeds. They like to roost up out of harm's way. But they will alarm call if they see something like a leopard or a lion, just to warn the leopard or the lion that they have been seen and not to waste its time. We've also got Mars sitting above us, also looking quite strawberry coloured. I'm not going to try and show it to you with the camera at this stage because you'll probably get seasick. But that's strawberry coloured, of course, because of the iron oxide in the dust. Ah, Miss LeBeau-Bob, thank you for this. You say the strawberry moon refers to the fact that it's the full moon during the strawberry season. Okay, thank you very much. It's obviously not strawberry season here, but I guess in the northern hemisphere it must be. That's wonderful. A strawberry moon. I really like that. Thank you very much. That makes a lot more sense. Now, the one thing I wanted to do today and then kind of got sidetracked was go to the hyena den. And it's a bit dark now to go there, so I'm not going to go there, but we'll pop across there, I think, in the morning and see what's going on there. Very exciting that they are back in, well, the second most salubrious neighborhood I think they've found. We're just going to drive up here a little bit and then stop and have another listen. So Brent is quite a long way off towards that sort of pinkening sky there. To the left. And there you can see it. And in between is a block full of drainage lines and chasms where the baboons and monkeys are, but where there are no ways to sort of drive. And the hyena den, which is just sort of over there, pops through here, and it's on a major game path that comes onto this road. Sharon, you say every full moon has a name to its season. That's excellent. I'd love to know a few more of them. I'm just going to stop here. I've just gone past the entrance to the hyena den, so let's just have a listen and see. There doesn't appear to be a great deal more shouting from any of the animals. In fact, all is entirely quiet. All I can hear way in the distance is one of the rain locusts that nearly set upon David as we started our drive today. Let's just have a listen for 20 seconds, see what you can hear. I can hear people talking on a game drive. But otherwise, everything is very much winter quiet. Just that one single solitary rain locust going way in the distance. Not an owl, not a nightjar, not a roaring lion or hyena. Okay, let's carry on. All right, let's go across to Brent and see if he's had any luck on the other side there.
No luck just yet. We did go through some elephants in the dark, but we don't shine lights on Ellies too much. They don't like it. So we turned off all our lights and we drove through them. Oh, nice and warm as we come up to the top of the crest. I'm hoping, if we don't find a cat today, that all the cats will be out and playing in the early morning. I think it is going to be gorgeous tomorrow morning. I think it's just going to be one of those fantastic days out in the bush. I'm calling it ahead. I've got a premonition. We're going to find some cats in the morning. the longer I stay out in the bush, the more I realize that I'm probably never going to leave it on a permanent basis. There's just something so spectacular about living in these parts of the world, when our worst traffic jam is a herd of buffalo or elephant. The noisy neighbors of the baboons barking at a leopard. African wildcats. Oh my goodness, it's a little African wildcat. Let me just go back a little bit. Now, this is my first ever sighting of an African wildcat on Safari Live. First for the killer bees. Yes, indeed, Brian. I know Jamie and Viam had an incredible sighting of one. How's that? So let's try and move with the shadow. Is that a bit better? Oh, no, there's too much shadow there. So this is, I know they also, how's that, Brian? There we go. Just get that piece of grass out of the way. Spot on. Oh, what did you hear, little wildcat? I'm just going to try and get the spotlight stable. Sorry. There we go. Isn't that just gorgeous? Well, we were looking for big cats and we found the smallest cat. They are just the most supreme little predators. Like that. Really, really gorgeous. Just try to stick with it. It's going to walk parallel to us. Yes, look at him go. Look at those little movements. Pop out. Hello, little guy. They are just absolutely exquisite. Mostly nocturnal. They'll normally lie up in a thicket during the day. About to pop out. And off he goes hunting. I'm not going to try to follow him, shame it'll scare him, but if we keep seeing them in this area, we can probably get them relaxed. And try to see if we can get another last visual before he disappears. And like a true cat, melts into the night. Wow, wasn't that awesome? I'm so chuffed! Yay! Well, that's the one thing about being out here. You literally never know what's going to be around the next corner. And with these really dry conditions we are having, we're going to see a lot more of these little creatures. So normally the grass is a bit high to see them. So, that was absolutely stunning. Yay! Wildcat. We're going to keep looping this area where we heard those alarm calls. James is over there somewhere. Got some signal break. I'm back. So Zoe's wondering, do you ever see wildcats in different colors? It looks almost identical to the one we saw with Jamie. I think it could even be the same one. It's in the right area. But yes, they normally all look like that. They don't have a lot of variation in colors like domestic cats. So they do all look quite similar. But this is the fantastic thing about this little last half an hour of the safari in winter. You're going to get those opportunities to see some of these incredible nocturnal creatures. Now I'll bring in the art fark. Hey, Brian. in Mia in Illinois. It was Mia's first sighting of an African wildcat. Well, I'm very happy to have shared it with you, Mia, and to anyone else who might have had the first sighting, hey, that's another one for the carnivore list. So I've set myself a little challenge to try show as many of the carnivore species as we can. There's a possible 20 or so in this area, and we're getting there now. So we've got, of course, the easy ones: the lion, leopard, wild dog, hyena, cheetah. There's the five, the big ones, and we've got dwarf mongoose. I've got dwarf mongoose, honey badger, serval. What am I missing? Oh, slender mongoose. We've seen both species of genets. We've seen, so only 11. Now, side-striped and black-backed jackal puts us on 13. And the missing ones. There's a bushbuck alarming very close here, and this is the area where James was looking for that leopard. Sounds like on the other side of this river system though. Let's just listen again. Now, bushbuck don't lie. Oh, it's right in the drainage line. I know James tried to get in there. We can't actually get a car in there. So I'm pretty sure Sindile is very close to us here, just through in the river system here. But it is a massive system. We can't get vehicles into it. Let's just listen. I'm going to see which way it's going. Well, good sign for tomorrow. We know where to start looking. But I think he's still in this little river system here. Exciting to have him around it in property. Having you on this absolutely gorgeous late winter's evening, and
anything there, and Brent of course lost signal. Let me just turn the game drive radio down. There's a great deal of fairly pointless chatter going on. It's deafening me. In fact, it may have deafened my entire right hemisphere of my brain. Just driving onto quarantine clearings to see if anything pops out here. A couple of impala and buffalo coming on, and of course as the night falls, so the animals will want to come up onto these areas. You can just see the back end of a buffalo there. I don't mind shining on the back end of a buffalo, simply because you can't blind them from there. And there we are. So they'll come out onto the clearing, of course, to try and stay safe, to see what's going to come and eat them. That's going to be it from us today, everyone. We are most honoured for having you with us. Thank you very much for coming along on my luckless safari. Good to have you with us. Thank you, David, for your efforts. Well done, good job. And a big thank you to the Final Control, and of course to Brent Leo Smith, the inimitable Brent Leo Smith, of course, and his cameraman, who was, I think, the very tall Brian Joubert. Indeed. Mostly, thanks so much for your very kind patience during our rehearsals last week. We're back to normal. We'll see you tomorrow at 6:30.